What's happening, guys? So this video is going to be something a little different. No bike builds, no bike riding. It's basically a nostalgia video. I found a lot of photos and a bit of footage from back in the day from a lot of bikes I've had and stuff. There is a bit of footage, but it's mainly photos. If you don't want to hear me waffling on, I click off the video. It's just good to show some of the bikes and stuff I used to have. Friends and family will recognise some of them, but as I say, for the average viewer, you might find the video boring. It's not for views, it's not for clicks, but it's good to know I can put a video up with all these memories in and it's permanent. So I'm not going to waffle anymore because the video is just going to be me waffling. So let's take a look at some of the toys that I had when I was growing up. This bike I absolutely loved. 2012 SX250. There's no before pictures, but it was scruffy looking, run down. I stripped a lot down, powder coat, fresh plastics, fresh graphics, new piston, new liner, basically a restoration off camera. The only reason I got rid of this bike was I just passed my bike test and it weren't a road legal bike and I wanted a road legal bike. I could be wrong, but this is a 2000, it's an RM250. Absolute beast of a bike, this thing. This was fast. Basically bought it, then I stuck these graphics on it. Another good bike, never let me down. Just another bike that comes and goes. This was my first proper 4-stroke big bike, an SXF 250, 2008 I think it were. Mint bike, fast for what it were, perfect on the hills, it was smooth. Yeah, that were a good bike, that one. That's me with a friend who's no longer with us, rest in peace, Rye. He had the exact same bike as me, had some laughs on them bikes, good days. This is another SXF 250 I had. After the previous one, I got rid of that and went a while without a bike. Then I wanted to get back in bikes and I thought I missed that bike, so I bought another one. Decent bike. So that is a CR125 1990. I swapped that with my brother Lee, here he is on the bike. A funny story behind that, at the time I had a KX80 and I had the bigger bedroom in the house. So Lee had one bedroom, I had the other bedroom, he had the smaller bedroom. I said, if you swap the LCR125 for my KX80, I'll have the little bedroom, I'll let you have my big bedroom. So we did a swap. He only gave a few £100 for that, and today, that bike restored is worth some money. This is shot in 2007, and that's why the picture is so bad. Next, this for an early 90s KX100 I had. This was my first proper bike. I had tons and tons of pit bikes and crappy bikes, and this bike I bought off eBay for like £150. I had this for a good year or two. Absolutely loved the bike. I must have been about 13, 14 at the time. So because I wanted to get legal, I went and got this. Not the R6, I'll get onto that next, but the white one. 2013 I think it were, EXE250, probably the worst bike I've ever had. I had nothing but trouble with electrics on it. The electric start is the worst design ever. I went through 2 full sets in a couple of months. I replaced the starter motor, the Bendix, I did the full lot. It run like crap. So I put a full JD jetting kit in that bike because it ran like crap, made no difference. So the main reason I passed my bike test, so one of the neighbours had an R6. And being a bike lad, he said, go and have a go on that. I was like, oh, I don't know. Anyway, I had a go. I come back, I got off, I was shaking like that, and I said, that woman, the minute I was riding that bike, I thought, I've got to have one, I've got to get my test done. Simple as that. So I went and did it. That's me and Andy with coppers. So just after this photo we took, we pulled that, did it in handful. It was sat at end at road, PC plod. It didn't do us for speed, it did us for the registration plate. Too small, £100 fine. I also had this just for a short while, 2014 KXF 250. Another bike I bought off my brother Lee, stuck some graphics on it, went out a few times, no good for enduro whatsoever. I didn't have that long and got rid of that one. Me and Billy have had loads of bikes, and I mean loads. Obviously camera phones weren't a thing when we were like growing up, so there's not much footage or pictures of bikes. I actually rid my first geared bike with Billy, he learnt me to ride one. He had a KE100. I remember it like it was yesterday. Absolute battered KE100, must have been from 1980s. Worst bike ever, it did about 20 mile an hour. It were a 2-stroke, we used to just run it on petrol now, 2-stroke, and it still ran. This is him on a DT50 that I restored. He restored this just before we had the channel. He's still got that bike today though, and I keep telling him we need to do a video on that and take it out. I think it'd be funny. This is also one of his bikes, a KLX 250. We had this growing up. Absolute tank, that thing. Bearing in mind this picture's probably out from 15 to 20-year-old. This picture makes me laugh. He bought an RMZ 250 because he misses going out on bikes. Literally, we in the first 2 minutes of being out, went up an hill, stopped at top, got a bit unbalanced, fell on his side and broke his collarbone. The funny thing were he were asking me, can you see it? Does it look broken? I could see the bone sticking up. I was like, no, you'll be alright, you'll be alright. I told him to get back on bike and carry on riding. But while he sat dying, I'm taking pictures of him, to my son. That was the first time he broke a bone. Second time he broke a bone, he had a KTM 200 and snapped his leg. The same leg that he broke previously in one of my videos. But he don't sulk and he don't quit. And bikes are in his blood, hence why he's still got a bike today. So this is a quad he had, it was a Can-Am. It could have been an 800, it could have been 1,000, I ain't got a clue what it were to be honest. Absolute tank. Coming from bikes, I thought quads are boring, they're not for me. But this, you literally wind on and hold on. This was fast. Proper good fun that way, proper fun. I can imagine if there were good grouping you on quads, it'd be a good laugh. That's also Andy's CR125 he used to have in 1996, I think it were. That year, that shape, growing up with my dream bike. Proper love that bike. I used to watch him go out on that bike and think one day I'll have one of them. I think it's proper mint. Obviously when you're young and you haven't got a penny to your name, you can't afford something like that. If one pops up today for the right money, I'll definitely get one. But I think it'll be a keeper. Also a YZ, if a YZ comes up at the right price, an early 2001, I think we'll get one of them. Out of all the old bikes, I think the best looking two, the old CR and the old YZ, they're what motocross bikes should look like. I just think they look mint. This were the most recent R6 that I had. So I've had two R6s, they're the only two on-road bikes I've ever had. The reason I got rid of this one, for 6 months of the year in UK, bad weather, you couldn't go out. So this bike, I literally got rid of it just before I got the KTM. It spent 5 months sat in the garage and I thought, what's the point? I could have an off-road bike and still be going out on a bike. So that's when I decided to get rid. There's some footage of the bike here. Obviously that's not me riding. It sounds absolutely mega. I put a straight through pipe on it, got rid of the cat. Sounded like a Formula 1 car. Gives me goose pimples listening to that. Don't get me wrong, bikes like this give a buzz that off-road bikes can't give. But for how often I actually got out on the bike, I just didn't see the point in having one. If I had enough room to have one and just let it sit out the way, out my way, I could happily just leave one there. But for the room and stuff I've got, it's just not practical for me to just have one hanging around. I will say when circumstances change, and if and when I've got a bigger garage, I will get another one day. This for a KX100, I ain't got a clue of the year. I think it's a 97 or 98. I must have been 14-year-old when I bought this. Then people who are on loans out that come to the house and knock on your door and gear loads and you pay it off bit by bit every week. A mate was selling this bike for 300 quid and I thought, I've got to have that bike. So I got a loan off the Provident. Got the bike, not a penny to scratch my arse with. Stuck a few stickers on it, stuck a deck pipe on it. Tried to chav it up a bit. So I sold that KX and I bought this, a CR80. And this picture was took in 2013. And I remember at the time paying 400 quid for that, which is an absolute bargain. That's got to be worth 1,500 quid today. So I've saved this bike till last because this is the last bike I got before I got the KTM that I've got now. It's a KX 250 2003. Fully road registered. Because it was road registered, that's why I bought it. Thought that's perfect for enduro. Big mistake. I went out on that bike literally once on my own. It must have been like 20 minutes. It were an absolute powerhouse. Sounded proper crisp, got no footage unfortunately. Within that 20 minutes, I knew I can't use this for enduro. I can't go up hills and stuff on this, it's just too aggressive. So I did the sensible thing, I got rid of that. Got the KTM 300, it's literally just turned a year since I got that. Still happy with it. I do woman all about buying a 4-stroke sometimes. Having a one that YZF 450 makes me want some instant power just like that. If I could get something like that or similar in an enduro bike, I think that'd be good. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. If you've made it this far through all the waffling, well done. I have got plenty of footage of me and friends on bikes from back in the day. When you blow the footage up on YouTube, try and watch it, it's just so grainy. So it's pointless putting it on. There's probably a million more bikes that me and Billy have had and stuff, but unfortunately we've got no pictures and no footage of that. If for some reason you've enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. Once again, if you made it this far, thanks for watching, and once again, I'll see you on the next one.